In the years leading up to World War II, Gale Halverson, a young man from Tremonton, Utah, was working long days on his father's sugar beet farm. Stopping occasionally to watch airplanes fly across the Utah skies, Halverson found his inspiration to become an aviator.
And the airplane would come over the blue sky headed north, and so when I saw that airplane up there, well, man, I'd like to do that, I'd like to do that.
In 1941, with the conflict in Europe heating up, the United States began planning for war. The need for new pilots was crucial.
The government knew that we were going to probably get in a conflict. And they didn't have enough pilots. So they started a non-college pilot training program. And I saw that and said, man, sign me up.
Halverson joined the Army Air Corps and trained as a fighter pilot with a group of British pilots in Oklahoma. But when training was complete, he was given the job of flying cargo planes.
I was disappointed. You know, you do what you're ordered to do, and so I made the most of it. Got me in a position to drop parachutes, but with candy bars instead of bombs.
Halverson remained in the Air Force after World War II. Flying C-74 Globemasters and C-54 Skymasters, Halverson knew he was needed when the Soviet Union blockaded Berlin. He volunteered to fly in the Berlin airlift.
Each month it got increasingly clear that we were having some real trouble with the Soviet Union. So I volunteered to fly the airlift.
During the 15-month Berlin airlift, American and British pilots delivered more than 2 million tons of supplies to the devastated city. But it was Halverson's decision to airdrop candy to the local children that gave the Americans a huge public relations victory over the Soviet Union. While taking home movies of the bombed-out remains of Berlin from Tempelhof Airport, Halverson encountered a remarkable group of German children.
Suddenly, on the other side of the barbed wire, and I was wearing my uniform, of course, were about 30 kids right up against the barbed wire. Immediately, it was obvious they were friendly. They talked to me about it. Well, what you got in the airplane? 20,000 pounds of flour. We got plenty, dried potatoes, dried eggs. Kids, 8 to 15. And he said, now it's spring and summer. The weather's good in Berlin. But you wait until fall comes through. It's still on. And the snow and the ice, and you can't get in here. When that happens, don't worry about us. We don't have to have enough to eat. Just don't give up on us. Someday we'll have enough to eat. But if we lose our freedom, we'll never get it back. Kids fresh out of Hitler. Give me a lesson, American, and how important freedom was. I stood there amazed.
Halverson got the idea to drop chocolate bars and candy to the children below. To help them identify his aircraft out of the hundreds making up the Berlin airlift, he devised a way of signaling the children when he was approaching.
I'll wiggle the wings of that big 4-inch airplane. And when you see that, that's got it. Get out of here, let's start this thing. So I went back to Rhein-Main then and went to my co-pilot. I said, give me a ration. We couldn't buy it all in one. Give me a ration. What for? You are? You got permission? No. You're going to get us in trouble. I haven't got enough stuff for 30 kids. So the co-pilot gave me the ration. I had 3 weeks of rations, chocolate bars, big double handful of chocolate bars. So before I went on the mission, I tied the candy bar on the end of strings on a parachute and threw it out the loft of the barn to get the best way to pack it, how to roll it. And some of the guys saw me doing it. So what you doing? I said, I'm just experimenting. I don't want anybody to know about it, except my crew. I said, don't tell anybody or get me in trouble. And then the next day before noon, came over to Berlin, it was clear. And there's those 30 kids in a knot, right on the approach before the barbed wire fence. They hadn't told a single soul, I'm sure. And wiggled the wings and they just blew up. Came around over the top of them and he shoved it out. Couldn't tell where it went. So when he taxied out to takeoff, though, we had to go along the barbed wire fence. And there through the barbed wire with 3 handkerchief parachutes on the end of arms, waving at all the airplanes, and their mouths were all going up and down. And we all waved at them and said, holy cow, hope nobody saw that.
Halverson's humanitarian ideas spread. Soon, other pilots were donating their candy rations to the effort. The top brass at Tempelhof got wind of his candy bombing and made it an official practice. In 14 months' time, Halverson's squadron dropped 250,000 parachutes carrying candy to the children of West Berlin.
Reflecting back, well, that's unbelievable to me. I was amazed as much as anybody about what the effects were.
Gail Halverson made a huge impact on German perceptions of Americans after the war. Today, Halverson is known worldwide as the Chocolate Pilot, Uncle Wiggly Wings, and the Candy Bomber.